Addiction is not a death sentence.
You are now about to witness the greatest show on earth.
Music in Mayhem.
Music in Mayhem.
I'm Manny Vitale.
It's Skyler Ray, baby.
This is Music in Mayhem.
And there it is once again, our new intro. Compliments of the one and only Skyler Ray. Thank you, my brother Skyler Ray, for that amazing intro, as well as Kayla. And happy Wednesday, everybody. And definitely looking forward to this show. It is Wednesday. It is hump day. It's music day. It's Music in Mayhem. So let's get this sucker started, because I have not shut up because of our guest coming on. I've been like that little groupie running around, like, oh my God, you know what we got going on? And people are like, yeah, we know, because don't shut up about it. But hey, you know what? When you have Benjamin Lerner on, I'm excited. So, but first and foremost, let's get this thing started by getting OG on here.
Okay.
There's
okay.
OG.
I'll be in the background taking notes, guys.
Yep. As everyone knows, she takes care of absolutely everything.
Pen in hand, ready to go.
Yep. So,
welcome, Brad. Brad's already on.
Hey. Yes. So all of the comments, you are not, and you will never be ignored. So if there's something, you have a question for Benjamin, for Skyler, myself, OG, Pound Cake, Susie, let us know.
Yep.
And so you're not being ignored at all. OG will handle that. So OG, thank you. Let's pop you out of there. And without further ado, the one, the only, the co-host extraordinaire, Skyler Ray.
Woo!
Hey, what's up, my brother?
What's going on, my guy? How you doing?
Oh, I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited, man. I'm excited for our guest today. Definitely has a story. He is a pillar in the recovery community. Not only that, but his music has such an impact on it. I'm super stoked that me and his paths have crossed. It's funny because I've been seeing him do his thing, and he was getting like crazy numbers, and I was like, I don't even care about the numbers, but the fact that he's so talented and his message is so good. Oh. And I was like, yo, I want to work with him. But the fact that he's doing crazy numbers, like, I'm afraid to reach out to him, right? Because I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I don't like to be rejected.
Yeah.
But I reached out anyways, and he got back to me. When it finds out that, he's actually was playing my music for a few years on his recovery radio station, all this stuff like that. So yeah, I'm excited because that just shows you never be afraid to go after something if you want something. And you never know who you're inspiring. So,
yep. Just like my old man said, son, if you don't ask, the answer's always no. So with that being said, it's my pleasure and my honor to bring on the one and only Benjamin Lerner. Hey, Benjamin, how are you, brother?
I'm blessed to be alive and blessed to be here with y'all, man. You guys are both inspirations of mine, and I'm so grateful you reached out. Skyler brought me into this greater universe. Yes, I have been playing your music ever since I came across that Drowning remix that brought me into the Skyler verse. And here on Vermont, thank you for having me. God bless you.
I tell you, when I heard you guys collaborate, and it just seems, everything Skyler touches, man, is just gold. I just love him and Kayla so much. And all you guys separate with you and your music, and Matt Keegan, Kalichi, King Handsome, everyone else. But when you guys get together, the strength and the power and passion, the message is just unbelievable. And I thank you so much for coming on and sharing this. So thank you guys so much.
Absolutely, man. And I just want to say thank you. I see you're in the studio. Hold on, let's give him the full screen if it allows it. Hold on. We're gonna. Oh no, we got everybody disappearing. Hold on, we're gonna pop. I got you. You just got to give me a second.
Did it work? Well, now it's just me. Let's see if they get back on here. I'm here in Vermont, the beautiful state where I now reside. Moved here 3.5 years into my recovery. And it's a blessing to be here with these legends tonight, man. I know that they're going to be coming back at some point. They might be handling things going on behind the scenes. But as I'm coming through here, I'm just going to start by speaking on everything that's going on in my life and my recovery right now. It is an absolute gift to be here with these legends, maneuvering through life one day and one song at a time. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds to see if they want to jump back in. Y'all jumping back in?
Well, I
Yeah,
tell you what,
yeah.
I just what we'll do, man, is that's what we want to do is we'll be jumping back and forth because the name of this show is Music and Mayhem. So
Right.
we don't have scripts. We just have fun with our amazing guests such as yourself and our incredible audience. So what we'll do is just jump in there, but please feel free to, if you want to start with, at the beginning before the music with the issues with addiction, wherever you want to start, Benjamin, you start where you want, man. And we'll pop in here and share the conversation with you.
I'm just going to do a little, I was joking before I came on here, shameless millennial sober rapper I am, about Spark Notes and how when I was growing up in DC, that's what I used to use to cheat on tests. And they said, well, we're going to do just music here, mostly talk a little bit about what happened and what it's like now. But, music and recovery and music and addiction have always been intertwined in my life. And just a little bit of background about me. I knew I was an addict and alcoholic before I took my first drink. And what that means is I was always looking for an external solution to an internal problem. And my platform, my music, before I went on social, my writing, every aspect of my advocacy, from the radio show to my weekly column that I did for 5 years to the speaking engagements I've done in the performances, is built on a value of recovery that is far bigger than mine, far bigger than any singular creator, musician, or person in recovery, and that's transparency. And the truth is that regardless of where you come from, no matter how hard you have it, silver spoon, plastic spoon, no spoon, addiction spares nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born and raised in Washington, D.C., the son of 2 Ivy League educated journalists. My great-grandfather wrote God Bless an America and White Christmas, and I grew up going to my granny's apartment in New York City and seeing an Oscar statue on the mantle.
Oh, my
Wow.
God.
And that did not stop me from picking half-smoked cigarettes out of the gutter and lancing abscesses with blunt needles in the San Francisco Tenderloin when I was 24 years old, not thinking I was going to see 25. Wow. So how did I get there? Well, like I say, I was always looking for an external solution to an internal problem. And before the first drink ever hit my lips, that came in the form of validation from other people. See, all my life, I've been crippled by my fear, especially in active addiction in my early childhood formative years. I was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder when I was 3, 11, and 26 years old. Wow. As a very young child, as a middle schooler, and then again in recovery by a psychologist, because I was just curious if they got it wrong, and there it is. Back then, they called it Asperger's syndrome, functional autism, whatever that means. Now they call it autism spectrum disorder, but separate from any formal diagnosis, I can remember very vividly and distinctly being 3 or 4 years old, right around the time I went to the developmental therapist and got that diagnosis, and being at a Toys R Us or some toy store in a big mall with all these people, all these lights, and all these sounds. Nobody did anything to me. It was just the senses coming into my brain. And I hid under a display table and I cried and I screamed and I put my hands over my ears because it was too much. The sounds, the sights, the tactile sensations felt like nails on a chalkboard on the inside of my mind. And I always felt uncomfortable in my own skin. And, nobody's story is that cushy and that perfect, regardless of the fiscal situation you're born into. My parents got divorced when I was 6, but they were lovely people. A little bit of childhood trauma, but who doesn't have it? They didn't abuse me, but I saw my mom get very emotionally abused and slightly physically abused by what I would learn later was her alcoholic partner after my parents got divorced. But who doesn't have some form of sob story? My parents were good and loving people, and although my mom struggled with alcoholism for years, she actually ended up getting sober 5 years before I did, and her drug of choice was white wine. Wow. The most messed up thing is that all the love in the world could not save me from the fact that after I turned to approval from other people, never for being me, never for being myself, never for being Ben, the shy kid who just wanted people to love him, but for playing piano, for focusing my autistic mental energy and acuity into my obsessions with words and music. I would feed off of people saying, wow, that kid's weird, but he's so smart. Wow, that kid's weird, but he can really play those classical piano pieces. But it was never about me. And so what I learned early on is that what I brought externally defined how I felt internally. And then I started collecting things before I collected stamp bags of dope and bags of crack and little $1.50 bottles of Bacardi Limon and Jack Daniels. I would collect Pogs. I would collect Pokemon cards. I would collect video games, everything outside of me to make me feel like I had some worth. And it wasn't until I was 13 years old in my friend's basement, and I had little sips of liquor here and there, taste of champagne off the table, sneak it in New Year's Eve, a little sip of my dad's beer. I was there, but I don't consider that my first drink. Because until I had a couple of those little sips, I didn't realize that the same way I turned to external approval and validation in Pokemon cards and video games and people attaboying me, there was a chemical shortcut that could make me feel warm and fuzzy inside and allow me to get over my doubt that I was deserving of basic human happiness and emotional and spiritual comfort with a chemical shortcut. And so I went in that basement and we were searching for something to drink. Liquor cabinet was too high up and the bottles were too far low, so we were scrounging around the basement. And we found a 6-pack of musty, dusty Oktoberfest Sam Adams. And my friend drank half of one and spat it out like, this is disgusting. I drank all 5.5 beers he did not drink. And when I drank them with the intention of getting out of my consciousness and my discomfort with the chemical, I experienced a fleeting, destructive, false moment of euphoric, transcendent, victorious bliss, but it came at a cost. And the cost was that I stopped chasing validation of other people and started chasing that drink. I stopped chasing my passions for music and writing, and I started chasing that drink. And it started out real suburban. Like I said, Ivy League parents, DC private school. I went to school with the sons and daughters of senators, congressmen, owners of baseball teams. And I like to say this, we shopped at the shopping mall, but I went to school with kids who owned the damn shopping mall. Yeah. Everything continuum. And I was blessed. I was privileged. I never went hungry. But see, I saw these kids and their parents pulling up with like private jet tote bags and Bentley coupes and all this stuff. And I didn't think that I was emotionally enough already. But then I realized that I wasn't materially enough either, because that's where I tried to find my worth, because I didn't know who I was. And you throw alcohol in the mix of that, right? And it's not only that the drink is making it so that I have blurred vision literally and metaphorically in terms of how I see myself, but the same way the parents pulling up in that private school in that Bentley or that SLS Benz saw that car as a material extension of their worth. It was like, look at my car. This is who I am, as kind of a facade. I began to notice that even though people still saw me as the awkward autistic piano kid, that if I showed up at a party where people didn't want my lanky self walking through the door, if I had a bottle of Hennessy, if I had a little 3.5 of Kush, everybody wanted to be my friend. So I started perceiving the drugs not only as a way to escape from my underlying issues and insecurities, but as an all-purpose boarding pass that could get me through the door and serve as my identity. And that escalated through years. Started showing up drunk at track meets and to piano recitals. And at the same time, I discovered hip-hop. And although I made hip-hop music glorifying addiction, hip-hop was my saving grace, because the one time where I actually found happiness, actually found transcendental peace in the party, separate from the bag of weed or the drink or the line of coke or the ecstasy pill as it kept going and going, was when I was freestyling. I was free regardless of how lit or not I was. And that is one of the few things that saved my life. Because when I gave up playing piano, when I gave up writing poetry, the hip hop was there. And thank God it was there at the party, because that gave me an identity separate from the bottle and the bag. And then I got into college by the skin of my teeth, you know. But I left because I was scared. And I don't know about y'all, I like to think anybody can get sober anywhere, but as a budding alcoholic and cocaine addict, maybe South Beach, Miami is not the right place to go when you're 18 years old. So I skirted out of there, got a dead-end job, and I realized my parents had a little bit of money for me that, due to my privilege, was in the college account. And I also noticed my mom kept a little book of checks in her desk, that college account. So over 6 months, when I was 19 years old, I burned through $100,000 pretending that I was a big dealer, really sneaking into my mom's purse, cashing these checks, driving around to visit all my friends at college, flexed on them with my bags of coke and bottles of Henny the same way, getting more and more lost, more and more defeated, until I literally crashed my car into 3 other cars when the bank account was drained. And the first thing I thought after I crashed my car, hungover as hell, coming down from benzos, was not, is everybody else okay? I just totaled my mom's car and stole $100,000 from her that she put aside because she loved me, even though I've been screwing up like this. My first thought was, if the cops come and I get arrested, I'm not going to be able to drink and use today. And I got out of that. They paid the bail. I lawyered up. And I did what us alcoholics and addicts do best. I did a geographic. My dad had since divorced my mom and moved to California. So I went to a cheaper school because my grandmother still wanted me, not because she was trying to enable my addiction, but they wanted me to succeed. So I enrolled in art school, and then all 4 of my wisdom teeth came in at the same time, heavily impacted. The one line I would not cross at that time because I was a bougie coke dealer. I was an uptown fifth-a-day alcoholic crashing cars. I had all these delusions, right? But apart from sipping a little scissor up at rap sessions, I had never popped a perk. I had never done any of that because I was better than that, right? Wrong. Because they told me you can't smoke cannabis. I had just gotten a DUI, so I couldn't drink. All of my solutions that I had been chasing myself away from my pain with were gone. And then they gave me 100 perk 5s, and I don't blame the doctor. But after they gave me those 100 perk 5s, down the street from my little suburban artsy long-haired boy apartment out there where I was going to art school to dodge consequences in my reckless driving case was the Tenderloin in San Francisco. And I bet y'all know the rest of the story. If you know anything about the Tenderloin, Skid Row, Kensington, Portland, Seattle, and them open-air drug markets, man, it was not suburban anymore. That Oscar statue was not on the mantle in them trap houses when I started snorting 30s and Opanas. It wasn't in the trap houses in Baltimore when I dropped out of that school, came home, started copping dope. It wasn't at the rehab centers where my mom cried after getting sober from her alcoholic addiction, and she tried her best to get me sober. It wasn't when my friends started dying. It wasn't when I got stabbed in the side trying to cop dope, black tar out in the streets in California, when I first shot dope, when I first shot fentanyl, when I first smoked crack, when I had an abscess with a blunt rig, when I first had a seizure in front of my dad who was not an addict, crying at the hospital bed while they load me up with Ativan, hoping I don't snap my own neck from the dystonic seizure. Man. None of that made me want to stop. You know what made me want to stop? When the Fetty dope stopped working and that same kid screaming underneath the table came back. And that, after I've been to treatment dozens of times, 1 inpatient, 10 outpatients, Suboxone, the whole 9 yards, didn't work for me. And I support MAT, but for me, it was just a crutch because it was bigger than just the chemical dependency. Even if I had a sub in me and I wasn't sick, I would shoot dope even when it didn't get me high because it was a spiritual craving for a solution externally. But when I was so demoralized that I shot 3 bags of Fetty Lace dope and it didn't even get me to a place of any euphoria that I've been chasing since that first drink, I called the treatment center with a rig in my arm, but I still called them. And I almost left halfway through, but I chose to stay because when I packed my bag and left, I saw that same kid in the mirror and I decided he was worth saving. Went out, did the sober house, got a job, took some time away from music. And then that brings me through the first 2.5 years of my recovery. I don't get fellowship specific, but the rooms did help me. They played a big part. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. I'm not afraid to take the stairs when the elevator's broken. That's all you're going to get out of me for that. But I walked up them stairs and I had given up on music. I was working in the service industry, working at a treatment center. Life was gravy, baby. I was alive. I was confronting my underlying issues and working through everything in recovery, but music didn't give up on me. And my dad, who was standing at the foot of that hospital bed, right, out in San Francisco when I was getting loaded up with Ativan from the opioid and benzo withdrawal seizure, he used to take me up when I was a little prissy city boy kid up to the foothills of Vermont, where he built a little log cabin in his hippie days, post-Woodstock. And I would lug sleds and chop wood up there with him, and he gave it to me because he was getting old. My dad's 79 now. At the time, he was 72, 73. And he's like, I'm so proud of you getting sober. I don't understand addiction, but here's this house. And through that house, I met someone who owns this studio here, Old Mill Road Recording in East Arlington, Vermont, who was not just a music producer who built this beautiful studio, but was also a person who had spent decades balancing careers in Broadway production, set design, album production, and medicine, and had done a bunch of local campaigns on the opioid epidemic. And I had been working on my music in recovery, playing piano and rapping at the same time, not because I wanted to blow up as a rapper, but because I needed to vent through the music what I could not say at the groups and the therapy and all that. It was a therapeutic medium for me. And he listened to one song and he said, why don't we start working together? And 6 months later, I move up here and we start a residency together. I get it funded through a nonprofit. We released the first album I dropped in 2020 called Clean. And then 2 years later, just like I picked up that phone to call the treatment center with the needle in my arm, I saw my first recovery reel, and I picked up that phone and I shot that first video, man. And that's how I met Skyler, Kalishi, Matt, all y'all beautiful people. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, man. I know I was rapid firing going 100 miles a minute, but it's a complex story, and I'm going to give y'all a game.
Oh, man, I tell you, one thing about what we do is I hear so many stories from so many different people, and so many things that you hit on are so dead on, man. The one thing is addiction is a bitch. Addiction does not care if you are on the top of the social ladder. It doesn't care if you're in the alley with a needle sticking out of your arm and a shoelace around. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO or if you're cleaning the toilet. It does not matter, man. And it will come after you with vengeance. Mm-hmm. So, for you just to let people know, man, it doesn't matter. So, in your story, what I always tell people is our stories are obviously so different, right? But when you get right down to it, they're so much the same. The bottom line, what we do, our struggles are real, man. And for you to go through what you just did, and I tell you, it's a testament to God above. It's a testament to the strength and the faith and the courage. Bam, that's it. And the thing is, with you and Skyler and Matt and all of the others, man, the gift that we've been given to still be alive. And not only that, but you and Skyler with Matt and everyone else with the music, you give so much to so many others. And first of all,
music saves lives, man. It truly does. And it's crazy because, like you said, our stories are so much different. Me and yours, Ben, right? Or Benjamin. It's so different. But here's the thing, though, with that is like there was a lot of common thread there, right? Because like the seeking out the outside validation, I get that from my abandonment issues. So that led me to hang out with people I probably shouldn't be hanging out with. It led to me getting kicked out of school because I was always trying to show off or trying to always be the class clown till I would get last because I felt like I was part of the crew, felt like I was liked. I was always trying to figure out how I could be popular. It's the same thing when, I started selling dope because now I just became the most important person on the block. Everybody needs me, right? It didn't even matter if they were hate me. They were going to smile to my face, call me buddy, try to sell me their buddy's headphones they just stole from them, their mama's purse. Like, you know what I'm saying? All these things. They could be like, oh, Skyler's on the way. And they'd be like, oh, I hate him. He's a dirtbag. He's always this and that. But as soon as I show up, everybody's so friendly. Everybody's nice. All the guys are trying to be buddies. All the girls are trying to sleep with you. And I was like, this is everything I ever wanted, to be loved and fit in. And so I agree with that, like the outside validation because internal problems, right? Also, I related to your story when it comes to, the music being therapy. And that really is what freed me. And that's what, I explained many times what my logo stands for. It's a microphone with wings. And the reason for that is because it's my guardian angel. It gave me a shot at recovery. I didn't get clean to be in recovery. I thought it was corny. There's no way I was going to be in that. Go to a meeting. Heck no, that was a punishment. That used to be, if I didn't go to a meeting, I would go to jail. Right. So like, that's not something I did. But when it came down to it, when I asked myself, what do I want to do with my life? I want to do music. That was a no-brainer. Been doing music since 11, 34 now, right? So I told myself, okay, well, what's my best opportunity with this music? And that's to do it sober. And so with that, you know what I'm saying? Like music gave me a real shot at recovery. Got clean and sober for music, but I stayed clean and sober because the life that recovery provided, I refused to give up on, or I refused to bargain with. Like, I absolutely love my life. It's an outlet for everything. So I think it's really cool because we have lived such complete different lives, but we have the same internal problems. And that just shows you, no matter where you're at, and, you could be going through the same things. And that's why people are like always afraid and scared. And they're like, there's no way my story might inspire somebody. Like, or like, why would I go to a meeting that ain't going to help me or reach out? Right. But here's the thing. You don't have to be the same person or come from the same place. You never know what seeds. Because there was a few times I was like, damn, this is crazy, his life, But then there was a few times I was in the background in the green room and I was like, I was excited. I had to make sure I mute my mic because I wanted to keep jumping in because I was like, yo, I feel like he's talking about me from like a alternative universe, like the Spider-Verse or something,
Oh, well, it's insane because what you just said is all of us. I have people that'll come on and they're like, Skyler Ray, Benjamin Lerner, Matt Keegan, King Handsome, Kalichi. And because I have everyone on, anyone and everyone with a story, you're coming on our platform. If you've got a voice, you will be heard on our show. You will be heard on My Fight, Our War. But I had someone that reminded me of what you said too. That came on and she was scheduled to come on a show, Sunshine, Brenda. And she saw a couple of shows and they were intense, like yours. And she hit me up and she goes, Manny, I don't know if I want to come on, man. My story, I'm not going to get to anyone. My story won't matter. And I said, listen, I see you. I mean, all these stories and I hear them. Our words, like in your guys' cases,
that
your
was one of the best
music is
lives,
so
by the
intense.
way. That was one of the best lives.
Yeah. And your songs and your music touches so many people. I'm not a singer, but my show as a host to bring that out of people and let them talk, let their words be heard, touches so many people in so many ways. Her show came on. The comments, people were crying, going nuts. So Benjamin, everything you said, you just touched so many lives in what you just said. I mean, you put that together like bam, like one of your raps, but it was so intense. People out there right now are going, Benjamin feels like me.
I loved it, bro.
How
old? You were just sitting there getting it. I was like, I'm just gonna stay in the background because like this is so powerful. Like I'm chop it up, make clips. I was like, let me stay out of the frame for a second. Bro, you know what I think is really cool? You know who else has Asperger's?
Who?
Eminem.
I did not know. I'm a lifelong fan. I learned something new about Shady today. I see you got the Death Slim Shady hat on. So,
huge Eminem fan. Manny's from Detroit. Every time, I talk to him, I'm always yelling at him, 313.
Oh yeah, because we're reaching out.
You want to be a sweet MC from the 313.
We're working on some connects right now. We've got a lot of things going on, and I have someone right now who has been throwing his name around. And when that day does happen, and he comes on, I'm not telling Skyler until all of a sudden I hit that button and he pops on because I want to. That's how much Skyler means to me.
Bro, I will come wipe the sweat from your brow in the middle of your live. I will come fix your pillow just to be by him, just breathe in his air of his greatness and hope it rubs off. But I think that's why you're so intelligent, Benjamin, is because of the Asperger's. Like I swear by this, like it sets you apart. And it may make, like you said, socially awkward, right? But here's the thing: you're so intelligent. You're so intelligent, and you are next level. Like your brain works differently, and it puts you leagues above the rest of the people. Yeah, that's your brain, bro. And that's the same thing with Eminem. Is like he has Asperger's, and I honestly believe that's why he's the greatest lyricist. Although he can't always relate to all of his lyrics, although sometimes he goes on and on. But the way he puts things together and the double entendres and the structure and the rhythm and everything, like I haven't really heard nobody like that. So that is so cool that you have that. I am not surprised. Go ahead.
I'm going to say one thing about Eminem. Yeah. Just one.
Okay.
I've been a fanboy of Eminem for decades. As I can tell you are a scholar of Shady's universe.
Yeah.
Say what you want about the different stages of his career, all of which are good for a different reason, in my opinion. Artists have to be able to evolve. Yeah. But if you can listen to the hook of Infinite as a hip-hop listener, the amount of internal rhymes, the amount of levels of different rhetorical aspects he's tying in together, just in a simple hook that has about 12 rhymes and 3 bars. Offense was serving a sentence for murdering instruments. And tell me that isn't top 5.
Hey, I've always been impressed. That is 1996. That is 1996. And you want to know, my numbers may be off, but I don't know if it sold 500 or only 5,000 records. And I know he got dropped from his label because it didn't do well. But he was so far ahead of his time. But if you go back and listen to Infinite and the Slim Shady EP, which came out, that's the demo that got him signed with Dre. Like it is so much more different, like the lyrical context. And that's the crazy thing. So it's like people ask me who I listen to, and I don't listen to very many artists because when I first grew up, I wasn't really into hip hop. I listened to like Usher and singing and stuff like that. I remember my brother got the Coolio little cassette tape. My grandma got me Spice Girls in 1995. You know what I'm saying?
Hit them all.
You know what I'm saying? I love singing. I just can't sing. And so it's like, and then I heard Eminem and I was like, what is this? 1999, Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP 2000. And I grew up obsessed with him. I would listen to him throughout my all the way through high school, like literally on repeat, no other artist. Like I remember I'd get in trouble. His name was banned in one of my foster homes because that's all I would do is talk about him. But it's funny because now when I listen to lyricists and stuff, I'm like, yeah, they're all right. Just because that bar has been set so high.
Well, Benjamin, with your music, there's so many different genres out there, and you're hitting on so many. And with you guys, it's just like anything you put out, you're authentic, man. You sing from the heart and the soul. So you could hit on all these different genres, and it's so cool. What for you when you first started? You said like the classical, the piano, different things like that. When you first started singing, you said rap came later, right? Was that your first one? I mean, when you started, was it right into rap?
So let me break it down like this. I wrote my first poem on a shoe store receipt when I was 8 years old. My mom had been reading me some stuff, like just some writers like Dickens, like abridged kids versions that were made for like 8th graders. But I was like 8 years old. And my parents' philosophy was like, challenge them and see how far they can swim and then like peel back out through that. So I internalized some like Shakespearean sonnets and stuff like that. I was infinitely fascinated by rhythm and words. And then so I learned iambic pentameter, which is, the Shakespearean form. And then I learned other limericks, different things. And I learned how words rhyme and slant rhymes and all this stuff. And then the next year they started getting me piano lessons. And that is my secondary love, which is music. Words are first and foremost, and then music. Words are more intuitive for me. I do have a certain amount of intuitive musicality, but rhythm and words have always been my first and foremost passion, because even before the instrumental or me learning how to digitally maneuver, not in terms of digital, like, technology, but digital is in the digits on my hands, digitally maneuver a 13 half-step interval instrument, also known as the piano. Before I learned that, I was learning how to maneuver words and letters and lexiconography and different sentence structures rhythmically at the age of from 8 to 10 when I found the basis of my craft. And it's funny you talked about, the Marshall Mathers LP, Slim Shady LP. When I first heard Eminem was on a Grammy selections for the year 2000, where I heard the real Slim Shady. And that was one of the first times I heard rap. I had heard like, some No Limit stuff before. I had heard like Project Pat and like, 3 6 Mafia, but just dance tracks. That was the first time I had heard like a lyrical track. And I didn't start rapping then, but hearing him changed my poetry. And when I started getting more and more advanced with piano music, I hit kind of a cap when I was 15, 16 in terms of the complexity of my classical compositions. And I started winning piano contests and all this stuff. But it wasn't that it didn't excite me. It's that there's limitations to that because it's not an art form in which there's a lot of improvisational freedom. And I wasn't good at jazz piano, and that didn't really speak to me. I love listening to it, but it wasn't my kind of thing. It wasn't my jam. So what ended up happening is writing poetry for 5 years. I was at a party and someone put on a beat and I was lit, but I saw people having fun rhyming with each other. And I was like, I can do that. So I get in at first. I have absolutely no swag, right? Like the only thing I've done before is play keys for a rock band. And yeah, I sung a little bit, but I was a horrible singer. I'm still learning how to not be a horrible singer. I'm learning piece by piece, and auto-tune's helping a lot, but I'll get to that about the new tape. Just like you have to take a risk going into recovery. Before I got sober, you got to understand, skinny autistic piano kid, literally Skinny Jeans was my nickname because I was rocking the emo jeans with a little scarf, It was the Fall Out Boy, Pete Wentz, My Chemical Romance meets like, apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur, ladies era up in suburban America at that time. So I was wilding, man, and there was the fashion. But I started freestyling at this like inner city DC party, and this ain't uptown DC. This is like DC. This is Marion, Barry, Rayful, Edmond, Anacostia DC, because I'm out there with the plug trying to get some white and some green. And he's like, Skinny, you're not about to rap. And then I do. And it's not great, but he said to me something that changed my life. He's like, if you can do this when you're drunk and you're nervous and you've never done this before, you should do this again. That was funny, man, but you should do this. And so I started chasing it. The only thing I chased harder than that bag and that bottle was the music. And for years, I made music glorifying addiction and recovery. I met some incredible people through it. I did a song with Mac Miller, and I did a song with, Project Pat. I actually did 2 songs with him from 3-6 Mafia. I did a song with Raekwon from Wu-Tang Clan, and I paid for those features. But I only paid a stack for the Mac Miller feature because I did it a couple days before Kids dropped, and he absolutely blew up. I knew a friend of my friend went to summer camp with his manager, and so we did that. And this is what I'll say about Mac. Rest in peace, another tragic casualty of addiction. I didn't know him like that. But I will say this about him. After I did the feature with him in August, before Kids dropped, we opened for him at a concert, which was the first sold-out concert he ever did outside of Pittsburgh, which was in a suburb of D.C., Springfield, Virginia, this like 500-person capacity club. And I'm turned. I'm off the yak. I'm off the green. And we do the show. I did all right. Go outside, smoke a cigarette after the show. I'm 18 years old, just dropped out of college. Mac's standing there. And I've done the feature, but I paid for him the feature. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to talk to him. I'm just going to sip my little snuck-in bottle and smoke my cigarette. He sees me, and after doing a crazy sold-out show when he's just starting to blow up, doesn't have to talk to me at all. No obligation to even recognize me. He's like, hey, Skinny, what's up, man? Did you do an opening set? I came in late. It's so awesome to see you. You're from D.C., right? Oh, that's so cool, man. How's music going? I was like, great. How's tour life? And the point is, whenever anybody asks, because we work with Mac Miller, how was he? I don't talk about the feature. And this goes into it, for me, integrity, which is what I try to channel in my recovery. Because although Mac never found success in recovery, and God bless him, and it's a tragic loss, even in the beginning of his career and also the beginning of his addiction, he took the time to relate to me on an interpersonal level. He didn't think he was better than me because he had blown up. And he was as real and genuine and honest, if not more so, than when I was paying for a feature. And I'm saying this to say that when I made music in that rap lane, when I was using drugs, although the music was a high in and of itself, I got caught up in a separate cross addiction, which was validation on the level of YouTube views and clout and Dat Piff mixtape downloads. So I wasn't making music chasing artistic betterment, although sometimes it came naturally just as a result of putting in 10,000 hours as a freestyler. I was doing it because I wanted people to like me. And so when I got sober at 24, years after I had bottomed out and lost all the contacts I had in the industry because I was shooting dope at the shows that I was doing in the bathroom, and they were calling me out and just not wanting me to be there because I'd either be nodded out or not doing well in the studio, I knew that I wanted to make music, but I knew that I wanted to do it just for me, just like recovery. I had to get sober just for me. I couldn't do it because of romance. I couldn't do it for family. I didn't have any kids at the time, but I saw other people know you can't do it for your kids. And as a father of 2 now, I know that's the truth. I had to do it for me. And when I finally realized that the music wasn't about who I got as a feature, it wasn't about how much I could flex things and exaggerate things to create the same false persona I tried to create going into the party in high school as an extension of that. I treated it the same way that I treated talking about my life in recovery to someone who I worked with early on who saved my life. And what he said to me outside of a music context was, don't talk about the things that you would brag about at the rehab table, trying to be cool in treatment. Don't talk about the craziest stuff you've done. Talk about the stuff that's not cool to talk about. Talk about the stuff that keeps you up at night. Talk about the stuff that makes you cringe. Talk about the stuff that you would not want your best friends finding out about. And so today, that's what I try to do with my music. If I come off in a verse like I'm flexing, no disrespect to flex rappers, that's a sport. And I love flex rap. It turns me up, makes me feel good. I can't do it anymore. Because if I'm flexing through my music too much and I'm trying to portray a character of what I'm not, then that to me is not representative of the change I have made in my recovery and now try to channel into my music. So just as I had to evolve from active addiction and through all those different stages of my musicality, how I got to where I'm at today, separate from the new projects and all the things that brought me to this studio, which we can talk about too, the main difference is, the irony is, I got bigger numbers-wise and platform-wise by exponential factors by not trying to chase what other people thought about it. And when I was like, oh, this YouTube video, oh, I got a feature with this, oh, I got that, it fell flat because it was fake. And I was flexing. And that's my biggest piece of advice, recovery rapper or not. If your goal is to get a feature with an artist, then that's an external solution to an internal problem. If your goal is to get a record deal or 1 million followers, that's an external solution for an internal problem. And you might get it, but then if the followers go away or the deal goes away or the dude you collab with, who was the whole basis of your career because he put you on, doesn't want to collab, then what you got? So for me, just like recovery, it's all got to come internal.
Yeah, and the thing is, man, you just hit it so much. You gotta be authentic. Me, Skyler, when he first came on my show, the first thing he said was he was rapping about all this stuff that he didn't relate to because it was just a song. But once he became authentic, boom, it took off. And like for you, and that's why I love Music in Mayhem, but I also love My Fight Our War, because on that, people get to, like, when you say, you know, your guys' names, and let's say the people that don't know your backstory, they say Skyler Ray, Benjamin Lerner, Matt Keegan, Kalichi, King Hansel, bam, bam, bam. They're like, their music is outstanding. Their music. No, man, I have been so blessed to get to know you guys on a deeper personal level. And that's why I reached out to King Handsome. Come on, and if you are willing, tell your backstory, because once they get to know you as the man behind the music, it's golden, because you're that man who went through the same pain and all these things, really went through them, and you're not just flexing to be something that you're not. So God bless you, man, and everything you're doing. I mean, you are just tearing it up.
Sorry if I'm talking fast, man. I had some coffee and all that earlier in the day, and I'm just,
it's funny with us three, because everyone, I've never done this before. I've only been doing shows and podcasts for less than a year. And because I was so nervous, if I had to get up in front of like 3 friends and like discuss something, I'd be like, I started hyperventilating. I get all nervous. I couldn't do it. Anxiety. Now you can't shut me up. So then you put me and Skyler together, and it's like, and you would think I'm rapping. And then with you, it is so, because you know why? Because it's cool to be sober. And we want to share that. People, I had someone tell me one time that addicts, that we're the weakest, selfish bitches around. And I said, you know what? You're right. When it comes to active addiction, we are selfish. We don't give a shit about no one but ourselves, and we are weak. But when you throw recovery and sober, we are the strongest fuckers around, because I tell you what, this guy was talking about his life and his problems. I go, you know what? As addicts, we deal with the exact same thing you do: work, personal finances, kids, everything. But on top of that, throw fighting addiction 24/7. And on top of that, we pull other people up the mountain with us. We share. So don't ever say that someone in recovery, someone who is sober, is weak, because we are part of an elite fraternity.
We are some of the strongest people I know, and I will vouch for that. For someone, look, check it out. We got so many internal problems. That's why we started using. We didn't start using because life was beautiful. We did it to escape, and we love the feeling and the euphoria. I butchered that word, but we love the feeling that we felt when we were, using, right? Because it felt different. We were able to block the noise. It was like the headphone canceling out the problems of the world. And so, like, I always tell people, like, if you got clean and sober, like, don't downplay, even if it's a week, even if it's a month, you are doing what most fail to do. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And it's like, how many times, like, if people like are stressing on relapses, I hope no one relapses, but people are stressing on relapses, and, they start to come back and they're like, oh man, I messed up. And I'm like, check it out. The fact that you came back means everything. Don't stress on the past. You didn't lose the tools in your belt that you got sober last time with, right? And it's like, you got to think about it. Addicts, we constantly throw ourselves through the fire. We are the only type of people I know that will sabotage their life over and over and over, and walk past the mirror and say, you're ugly, you're pitiful, your family was right, I'm a low life, I'm whatever the names we call ourselves, right? To be able to deal with that mental internal battle and still pop out and give it an honest effort is like incredible. And that's why I tell people, like, us addicts, we are superhuman. We're heroes. We really are. We got so much grit, bro. So much grit. And it's a beautiful thing, man. It truly is.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's just it, man. We sit there and, I tell people, man, it's okay. Cause I used to look in the mirror and be disgusted what I saw. I mean, I looked like hell. I felt like hell. I smelt like shit. I mean, it was just, I didn't care. And people would say negative things about me. You know, Manny, or my biker named Gunner. Yeah, that piece of shit. And you know what? I was cool with it because that's what I was. That's who I was. But not anymore. Now it's okay. I tell people, be proud of what you are. I had someone one time when I got sober. I was only sober, and I shouldn't even say that, but I was having this conversation with this gentleman, and I go, I know you've been, sober a while now. How long have you been sober? He goes, Manny, I've been sober 30 years. And I was like, God bless, that's great. And he goes, how long have you been sober, Manny? I go, only 30 days. And he goes, what? He goes, why'd you say it like that? And I kind of laughed. I go, well, only 30 days. He goes, why'd you laugh? He goes, when's the last time you were sober 30 days? And he goes, you know what? I had to be sober 30 days before I was sober for 30 years. Every day, be proud of, and you know what? I saw this guy speaking one time. It was just a few days. I can't remember who it was. He said, people, when they fall off the wagon, they're like, oh, that's it. Starting over. I screwed up. You're not starting over. You still have all of that beauty, that strength, the determination, the warrior mentality to be sober all that time. No, man, you're picking up right where you left off. So, I tell you, Benjamin, I am so damn happy that you are here with your intensity that you have with your music. And not only that, but your passion for helping people and your passion to getting this story out is now, you know why I've been so damn excited to get you on here. And it's just like, so that's why. This is why right here.
Well, you guys are, a gift. You got to understand, and I'm going to talk a little bit. I did what happened, what it's like now real quick. But in terms of what it's like now with the music, you got to understand, and I say this sometimes on my lives because separate from the music, but it does tie into it. In the continuum of things, I haven't been sober that long. I've been sober since June 13th, 2016, but it's one day at a time. I like to say I got up this morning at 8 o'clock. If you got up 7:45 and you went to bed sober, you got more time than me. But when I got sober on June 13th, 2016, I got out. The algorithm wasn't set up to have any type of recovery content, music or otherwise, reach you. There weren't even Spotify playlists really back then. The algorithm of every app was not curated to people's taste, and to have something come across, regardless of whether it's your taste or not, a message of recovery, you had to know people, whether in the rooms or through treatment or through therapy. You had to know to follow a page or have sober friends on the internet to have it reach you. And I say that because I talked a little bit earlier about how I came to the studio, Old Mill Road Recording, and how my friend, mentor, manager, the guy who's really given me the tools and the inspiration to move forward with my music and recovery, first combining classical piano and hip hop, doing something really different with Clean, which celebrates its anniversary 5 years tomorrow. It's crazy to say that I've been an artist in residence, a professional musician here in any capacity for the past 5 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Yes.
Especially considering the second of 3 EPs is dropping tomorrow. And Skyler and I were talking backstage about how when we first started talking, he learned that I have been playing his stuff on the radio. And, to be sitting with someone long before, a year and a half before I started getting active on social, and, I met people through the reels and stuff. I've been playing you and Kalichi and Matt's, everybody's music.
Crazy.
Just because I would go on YouTube and like find it, and go on Spotify and find it. One song leads to another. KC makes music, all the NK, like the mental health rappers too, like a lot of stuff. Problematic, like it all found me. And then I had a real find me through the algorithm. The last thing I ever did, even after I put out that album, I started a column in the local paper called Clean. I did 250 columns every week until I did the final column in January, which was actually a column I wrote about me uploading one of my first reels. So it was like a full circle thing to bring me where I'm at now. But before I got active on social, I was speaking, I was doing performances, I was doing all this stuff. But the last frontier I ever thought I'd cross, because I just thought, I can't do that. The same way I thought I couldn't get sober. Like I thought, I put out a recovery rap album over piano, but like I'm not like Kalichi, I'm not like Matt. Like I make different music now. I'm a journalist up here in Vermont running a radio show. What business do I have putting my music out on social and joining this community? I thought, just like the misconception, that I didn't belong. And so what ended up happening is when that reel came across my feed, my first son Jude, my older one, had just been born 5 months earlier. And I was up late at night with my girl, and she's like nursing him, like scrolling through her phone, mom reels, trending audio. And I'm like, what's that? And she's like, oh, it's a reel. You should make them. And I'm like, me? And she's 9 years younger than me. She about to be 25 in July. And at the time, I had just turned, like 30 the year before. And I was about to be 31. I was like, nah, I can never do that. She's like, you need to do it. It'll do you some good. Go ahead and put yourself out there. And I say this all to say that as someone who's been playing recovery rap on the airwaves here, the first FM radio recovery rap dedicated show in the country, I might add, on a radio station that gave me the chance, recorded here at this studio where Dr. Sherman gave me a chance as a doctor and producer, working with me as producer, artist, doctor, addict. The first reel I filmed was walking my dog around the block when I was tired, staying up all night, changing diapers. And I kept telling myself, nobody's going to watch this. You look stupid. You sound stupid. Don't do this. But just like I thought, walking into that treatment center, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. But the same way I talk about with the music for the talk reels, before I started posting the music on social and that got to where it is, I was like, just do it, man. But don't do it because you want views. Don't do it because you want to build a platform. Do it because you need to speak on your recovery. And I gave myself 2 rules. If it does not help me to say this, not just to the internet, but myself, I don't do it. And if it's not something that would resonate with me in active addiction or early recovery before online recovery stuff was a thing, I don't do it. And the same thing goes to my music. And just like I had given up in early recovery on ever doing music, I hadn't given up on doing music, but I wasn't going to do like a hip hop thing. I was getting ready to work on my singing and drop a folk album. But I came in here, I started doing a verse a week, and I thought, I was like, no one's going to listen to this. It's stupid. And, it was stupid enough that less than a year later, I was at the Lost Voices of Fentanyl rally with my now Matt Keegan, singing my heart out to a crowd of people in my hometown, full circle, who had lost their loved ones and marching on the White House to demand actions in the fentanyl crisis. And then a couple months after that, I was out with Matt recording the Price of Addiction music video. And a couple months after that, I started talking to Kalichi. I started talking to Skyler. I started talking to little Casey Makes Music, although we haven't collaborated yet, but just talking to each other. The same people I played on my show, who I idolized. And you know what? It all happened because of these EPs I'm putting out, like the one tomorrow, Run Towards the Truth, has a feature from Kalichi on it. Me and Skyler, the same dude I played on the radio station, are talking about a feature on the third and a song with Kalichi and Matt and me. And what I say is this. Y'all say it's an honor to have me on. I feel like I dreamed this, man. I feel like I dreamed this, and sometimes it feels way too surreal to me. Because at every single level and fiber of my being, to screw the music, screw the views, screw whatever clout there is in like recovery advocacy or platforms, the fact that people from across the country, Midwest, West Coast, East Coast, different backgrounds, different experiences, different music tastes, different stories, can all sit here and come together because of the power of an internet algorithm that allows us to know we're not alone, not just in person, but in the digital space. I will say this, and then I'm going to cut myself off because I need to shut up.
No, you good. You good. Keep sharing, baby.
There has never been a better time to get sober, and here's why. In the old days, you had to have bread or insurance or Medicaid or Medicare to go to treatment and not just get detox, but hear from another person in recovery or a counselor. Right now, if you got a trap phone, even if you don't have a plan, go get you a $50 prepaid from the Walmart. Go on Starbucks internet while you're dope sick. You can find thousands of recovery content creators and musicians on all platforms for not a dime that will give you the same game, not the licensed accredited stuff, all love to the treatment centers, but the message of the rooms of the treatment centers, regardless of your path, for free. And that's because recovery's free, we're free in recovery, and recovery's priceless. And God bless y'all. Thank you for having me to share my story. The new EP drops Friday, and coming up after that, I'm going to force Skyler to be on a track on the third EP. And
you ain't got to force me, baby. I'm here. I'm excited. I got to sit on my hands sometimes because I'm such a honey badger, bro. And it's like I these opportunities and like life gets so good, and sometimes I feel crazy because like I'm like sending all these messages to all these people like trying to make these things happen that I know opportunities are coming. And then I'm like, oh God, I'm just bugging everybody. I need to relax. But I'm excited, bro. I'm excited. Your brand new EP dropping this Friday, bro. I can't wait till we get a chance to work. It is an honor. You know what I'm saying? I don't have the words to express it, bro. Like it's really cool because like, you know, I was watching your stuff and just seeing how authentic you were and watching you be able to speak your truth and message. And I was like, bro, this guy gets it. Like, you know, there was something different about you. It was very unique. And I was like, you could tell when somebody gets to talking, if they've like been through it, kind of messed with it, or just like, are they like book smart when it comes to addiction? You know what I'm saying? But it's like when you've been through real life experiences, like that stands out, man. And like, you are super unique. I'm so excited, bro. I can't wait to, bro, when we get a chance to meet, bro, I'm giving you a hug. I'm making sure we get that picture.
It's going to be a big old group.
Yeah, man. It's all around.
And the thing is too, man, is with addiction, the rule number one, don't even try. You cannot lie to an addict. We will call you out. We're not going to sugarcoat it. I said from day one when I started My Fight Our War, we're here to love you, support you, motivate you, stand by your side through thick and thin. We will be here to kick you in your ass when you need it. But I'm going to call your ass out when I catch you lying to me because I've sold those same lies before you did. So, you know what, man, I thank you so much for what you've been sharing. And, you know, this is just the beginning. And like I said, the invite for you to come on My Fight Our War, to even go more into whatever you'd like. The floor is yours. I'd be honored to have you on and just to continue this. But I tell you what, man, you tore it up, man. And this has been a true blessing.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Benjamin.
Can I say one more thing? I just want to shout out absolutely everyone in the comments for being amazingly supportive, open to the message of all three of us dudes here, and sharing your experience, strength, and hope too. And I want to let anybody know who might be watching this on the live or on the replay. I don't care if you've been Narcaned 100 times, been to jail, been to prison 100 times, been thrown out of your family, your loved one's house 100 times. If you've given up on yourself, you do not have to give up on yourself. You are a good person and you do not deserve to be sober as punishment. You deserve to be sober because you are beautiful, you are loved, and you deserve to be free.
Amen.
Amen, man. Well, I'll tell you what,
about that.
Benjamin, thank you.
Hold on,
and,
man, let me stop you real quick. I'm so big about that, and that's my thing is like positivity. Like I believe in creating a safe space where someone could reach out. There's never no judgment. You know, I've learned a lot of, you know, respect and patience, especially like through my brother going through addiction, because it's like sometimes I just want to be like, get your stuff together right now. This is what we're doing. And it's like, I know ultimately that he's not in the space to hear that, or he's not ready, because then there'd be different actions. Life would look a little different. And so I have to like remind myself like, hey, you know, this is the relationship. I'm very blessed that he responds to me, you know, and I'm there for him. And I want him to know that it's love, it's gentle. And there's never no judgment. I never judge another human being because I know when I was out in my addiction, I was not getting clean. I know how many times I promised myself this is the last shot. Then I kept using until I got arrested, came back out, using until I was tired. This is the last shot. I've never been able to quit on my own. I've had to quit because of jails and institutions. That's the only time I ever got sober time besides this last time popping out. Right. So I was forced every single time. So it's like, I don't judge anybody who can't get clean because I couldn't get clean. I literally had to be forced to get clean, thrown in a cell, shut the door on where I had no access. Right. So it's like, you know, everybody has value, man. Everybody means something. You know, I don't care who you are. If you guys are watching this, every single one of you guys, I have so much value in this life. You guys have something to offer that is totally different than anybody else's. It's very unique. You can be yourself 100%, and no one else can be a better version of you. Please reach out if you need help. If you're not ready that yet, stick around, keep watching, drop comments, send me a message. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure Benjamin's the same thing. Manny's the same thing, bro. And Benjamin, I just want to say, like, so this live is doing so well. This is the most viewers we've had. We had 38 viewers at one time.
Oh, yeah, so we're flying.
I took a picture with it. I had to remove myself so I wasn't like this with the phone. But congratulations. I think your story speaks for itself. And that's that following, that algorithm that you
Yeah.
talk about, like before, like you had to know somebody or find it, or you had to have sober friends that were on your timeline to leave a comment so that their comment would pop up under this random reel that happened to be about recovery. And it's like, bro, you are paving the way. You are seriously like, bro, you are doing your thing. Kudos to you. I'm excited to go check it out. Everybody listen up. Hey, he has a brand new album dropping this Friday. You do not want to miss it. I know all the tracks are going to be amazing. He has one with Kalichi. Don't sleep on Benjamin. I'm telling you.
Man.
I'm singing. I'm singing on it, though. Y'all ain't ready. Not ready.
Well, I tell you guys, this has just been an amazing show, and the safety and no shame and no judgment. That's why I formed My Fight Our War, because I said from the day one, I'm not a counselor. I've got no degrees. I've never been a peer coach or recovery coach, nothing. What I am is one of you, and we are all here together. We're in this together. We are all one family. So, Benjamin Lerner, thank you so much for the honor of being on this show. And I look forward to working with you again, not only with us here, but again, you are welcome on My Fight Our War, and we will get that set up in the future.
Let's hit it, man. Let's go.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Benjamin Lerner, thank you.
Before you go, Benjamin, where can people find your album?
I was just going to say Friday, the big drop is Friday. Where can everyone hit that up?
Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Reels all across every platform, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. I am out there, man. Just like my recovery, I'm out in the open.
Well, unbelievable. Benjamin Lerner, thank you so much, man. God bless you. Thank you for taking care of Benjamin Lerner, because by taking care of you, you are now taking care of so many people. So first and foremost, thank you for taking care of you. And in your amazing music and your attitude and your word and your message, you are saving lives. So
saving lives, boy. Hey, you are. That's why when I see you, I'm giving you a hug, bro. You are saving lives out here. Thank you so much, man.
We're gonna be doing some group hugs in August. So
let's do it.
All right, brother.
All right.
Well,
I appreciate you guys, man. You want to take us out?
Yeah. Man, what a show. What a show. The one and only Benjamin Lerner. I tell you what, I've been a fan of all these guys for first and foremost, of course, because their music, but I've been very privileged to be in a position where these guys, Skyler, Matt Keegan, King Handsome, Kalichi, all these guys who I'm getting to know on a personal level. It is such an honor and privilege to hear their backstory. They are legends, not only with their music, but with their story and their love and compassion. You are not alone in this. Addiction is only a word. Addiction is not a death sentence. Stand by each other, support each other, never give up on each other, never give up on yourself. Love you guys, and keep fighting the good fight.